to get into arguments with people, and we never be able to understand each other because they're arguing from the flesh and I'd be arguing from the spirit. Like, what's the state of your spirit? Is the state of your spirit like in a hateful circumference, or is it in like a loving, like you live in the present, you know, live with the God within you, the pineal gland being which is the real virtual reality, which is heaven, right? Which is what they're trying to recreate.
They are trying to recreate it. I was looking at the World Economic Forum website, and they have a whole page dedicated to the metaverse, and they explain like we're gonna have like socioeconomic things going on in the metaverse. And I'm like, what the fuck are they talking about? Like, they're trying to build this whole virtual, virtual realm for kids to live in.
Yeah.
And it's just like weird. And there was this document that was released by NASA. It was a presentation. It's by the chief scientist at NASA. His name is Dennis Bushnell. I'll pull this up on the podcast for all those people out there. But he's basically talking about in this presentation, they're talking. It's called the Future Strategic Warfares document.
Okay.
And they're talking about the different. This was in 2001. And they're talking about like how in 2020 we're going to be in the bio-nano era, where they're going to be injecting people with nanotechnology, which you know we've been seeing.
Which we already know is happening.
And past 2020 is the virtual era.
Yeah.
And now I'm seeing it come to fruition. This is like a warfare document. This isn't like people think NASA is like this. Oh, they're like going to the moon, or they're gonna send people to Mars with Elon Musk. No. NASA's a military fucking company. It's a military place. They're fucking sending weapons.
Like a subsection of the army.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the biggest parts of the military-industrial complex. Like they're the ones that are like developing intense, crazy weapons. And but yeah, and then they have here. This is one of the most damning things right here. Here we go. Inexpensive, motivational, asynchronous, web-based distance education enables. Basically, what that means is they knew that by this time, school would pretty much be online for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And like they talk about even here, look, stabilization of world population, equalization of haves and have-nots, altered political military outlooks worldwide, i.e. changes everything. And if you want like a more detailed analysis of it, I would say there's a guy named Jason Burmis. You go on Rockfin, you'll be able to see his work. He explains all of it. I'm just a retard, and I listen to it, and I just, fucking, it makes me paranoid, but it's also kind of fun to watch it. So yeah, anyways, cheers, Zahar. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, God bless you, bro.
God bless you guys. This is Zahar.
What's up?
He's our guest for this episode of the High Council, episode 5. Let's go, baby.
This episode 5?
This is episode 5.
See, I almost made it to 6.
Yeah.
And see, that would have been cool, because Tesla always said if you understand 3, 6, and 9, then you understand the universe. That's a real holy trinity. But actually, bro, I just want to kind of piggyback what you were talking about. Honestly, bro, I've always hated school. Bro, I have so many funny ass stories of getting kicked out of school, just a bunch of shit I would do. But I always hated school, and honestly, with everything negative that happens, there are positives that come out of it, right? This whole bullshit COVID thing that happened, I think the one good thing that happened is that it took kids out of school, right? And it's like they probably have piece of shit parents that have no traits, right? Like that just go to work, and I respect blue collar workers, but I mean most of the time, just parents now, honestly, a majority of parents are just stupid. They don't pay attention to their children. They just throw technology at them and all this, but they don't even take time to.
Yeah, they just give them an iPad. Here, leave me alone. Yeah, they watch my shows.
Yeah, they don't understand that they're in a sense, your father, your grandfather, that is a god to a child, right? You're supposed to be there actively teaching them, but they don't do that anymore. And I used to get mad at my father and my mom for teaching me a trait. And now I understand what they were doing. It's but the one thing that it's if your child hates school, if they're staying at home all day, they have that time to read, to learn a trait, to go on YouTube, bro. YouTube is the real college for real. You don't need to go to college. You don't need to go to school. It's
just a waste of money and a waste of time. And I think the horse has been beaten to death already on that. I mean, everyone online has already kind of made their peace with school. I've met good people at CISA. I will say that. That's the only thing college is useful for, is meeting cool people. The classes that I have taken for film have they've done nothing to teach me. I've taught myself everything I know. Everything about editing, anything about cameras. I've learned all that shit on YouTube. So
what's that? What we were eating Thai food. What's that one movie idea that you had?
Oh, the Bilderberg.
Yeah, the Bilderberg.
So it's tentatively titled Build a Borg. It's really going to be like Doctor Strangelove meets the New World Order type figures. I probably won't call them by name. It'll probably be like Gil Bates and fucking
Gil Bates.
Henry Kissinger or something like that. This quote is from Theodore Roosevelt. It's called "The Man in the Arena," and I really like it. It's really good. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who, at best, knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be among those cold and timid souls who neither know victory or defeat. So be the man in the arena. That's what I'm saying.
Be the #1 contender.
Shout out to Sean, my cameraman. Good guy. Turn
Sean.
the camera around, Sean. Let him see your face. Yeah, I can't see his face. It's all good though.
Are you Japanese, bro? Oh shit.
That's right.
He's a good Japanese dude. We fuck with manga. Hey, Kim Jong-gi just died. R.I.P. R.I.P. to Kim Jong-gi. I loved his art. He just made art with Katsuya Terada, and he died coming to NYC. That makes sense because NYC is the new Black Plague of. It's Europe in a fucking state. No, hey yo, dude, have you ever heard of this book called Pure War?
Nah, I never heard of it.
Okay, dude, I love this book because, you know, okay, I don't consider myself an artist, but like I just consider myself a person. I have a trait, right? I'm good at drawing. That is my trait. And so in Pure War, I like this section that it talks about there are things in this world that have both like everything you make in this world has a negative and positive effect. And depending on the Libra scale, which one weighs out more, should it be created or not? And there's just a lot of art that I think that people need to put on a fucking Libra scale and see the pros and cons, and if the cons outlift the pros, just be like, fuck it, this shouldn't be made. And that's pretty much what Pure War talks about. Like it even says like making a highway, right? Okay, yeah, you get places faster, but then it's like there's the con to being that a car pileup can happen from that, right? So should we make highways? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. You know, the whole like infrastructure of the highway systems and all that, like they're built in such a way as to put people closer to cities and to congest cities on purpose as a form of social engineering, which is kind of crazy to me. It's just like,
bro, what's the lamb called that purposefully brings the other lambs to the slaughter and he always gets away? It's called like a Judas lamb or no?
Oh, Judas goat?
Yeah, Judas goat.
Yeah.
The highway is the Judas goat bringing you to your fucking 9 to 5 so you can become depressed, go home, drink until you have a fucking heart attack at 40.
You become like a battery.
You become a battery, and then it's like you have a heart attack at 40, your children hate you, and like you're...
That was a coyote?
Oh, cool. Yeah. Hey, yo, let's bring the coyote on the podcast.
Shout out to the coyote.
Shout out to...
What's up, coyote?
You know, Bill Gates, he bought up all that land, right?
Yeah, he bought up all the farmland.
They don't want us going to all that rural land and building our own shit, building our own... What's that thing that Tesla built, the Weideklaufen Tower for free energy?
Oh, yeah.
Bro,
I was talking to Sean about that earlier, how like Tesla was building this tower that was basically able to extract free energy from like the air, and he was getting his funding from like JP Morgan. And but as soon as he told JP Morgan about it, JP Morgan,
free energy,
JP Morgan was like, oh, fucking don't fund. He told all of his rich buddies, like, don't fund Tesla. He's not gonna make us money. And Tesla died like what, fucking 84 and broke.
Imagine Tesla in his deathbed. He literally did everything in humanly possible within him to help the human race, right?
Yeah.
But they fucked him over consistently. I mean, dude, that's like even the same thing like with Jesus in the story of Jesus. He did everything he could. And it's funny, bro, because like I have a friend that always thinks I'm an asshole because I tell people what I think and I tell them exactly how it is, but it's like, that's how you're supposed to be. And all these people, they want to be martyrs and they want to be considered like prophetic people, but it's like at the end of the day, when you speak to people, you sound like a fucking pussy. It's like, dude, the God's children, they're not supposed to be polite. Like,
No.
you're supposed to tell it how it is.
Well, you know, free speech, that's why free speech is so important. But no, I hear you. I mean, people like to avoid conflict, you know? And I've caught myself doing it because things are touchy these days, you know? Some people, especially when you're trying to be like, when you're trying to make money, you know, and we have this apparatus that is built around censoring your thought, or censoring, like, it's so hard to avoid that entirely. Sometimes you have to play by the rules a little bit, but even then it's like, that's still soul crushing and it's probably not worth it.
Well, I don't know if it's like playing by the rules. I think if anything, it's just playing smart, right? Cause so it's like
playing smart. Yeah.
It's like if you're in a room of people, they don't know if you're stupid until the moment you open your mouth. So at the end of the day, it's like, even if you're the smartest person in the room, it's probably the best thing to do is probably to shut up, right?
That's true.
And listen to what all these people are talking about.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, if they're actually saying something, if they're giving you good information, then you walk out the smartest person in the room. Sincerely, if you're coming from the perspective of the spirit versus a person that's coming from the perspective of the flesh, I really don't see a point of having an argument ever, because it's like they're never gonna see what you're talking about. And I've struggled with this my whole life. Like every time I had arguing with people, and you know, it's funny. It's always funny to me, like, cause they think I'm coming from a bigoted standpoint, because it's like if they're too serious, like if they're too serious, I always make fun of them. But it's like they think I'm being an asshole, and it's like at the end of the day, it's like, look, if you realize your mistakes and you're humble about it, and you understand what you've come from, it's like I'll be realistic with you. But it's like if you're just one of those people that doesn't even take accountability for their actions, and everything in their life is who they are, like they make that who they are, like fucking, like for example, like I have Tourette's, right? I was diagnosed with psychosis, all this shit. Imagine I made that who I was. Like, bro, I'd be a and like I'd be an actual, like, the worst human being ever. Right. And like those type of people to me are like the worst fucking human beings. And anytime I meet, like, bro, the other day, okay, you can tell me if I'm wrong. I got kicked out of my friend's house. Just to let you know, I've known this friend longer than his new girlfriend, right? I'm there to learn, like, we're working on Ableton. And she starts, like, gets on this conversation about, oh, why can't women walk out the way they want, like in short skirts and like showing their body? It's like, number one, it's like, okay, like men, you think men respect those kind of women? Fuck no, bro. They look at you like thoughts, you're whores. Like, they're like, oh, they don't, you think they look at a bitch like that as a wife? Like, bro, at the end of the day, like, I've read the Quran. I'm not a fan of the Muslim religion, but I at least respect. The one thing that I think they get right is about the women, you know what? Wearing the burqas.
The Quran is pretty based when it comes to women. I kind of agree with it. It's, they got some things I don't agree with, but that's one thing where it's like, these guys are onto something.
No, they do a good job with the women, I think, but, anyways, bro, she gets on this tirade of that, and I'm like, look, to be honest with you, I don't care to talk about this. I'm trying to work on music, I'm trying to work on Ableton. And then she keeps going, and it's like, it gets to a point where for some reason, me, a stranger, bro, she decides to tell me a rape story of hers, a so-called rape story. I'm like, okay, like, number one, like, to be honest with you, I don't care about this rape story of yours. You shouldn't even be telling me this. I'm a stranger to you. Like, real women that actually got raped, the like 3% of the
That's like the hardest thing to talk about.
Yeah, 3% of the population that actually got raped, they don't talk about that shit. You other 97% people, you just made decisions that you regret.
They flaunt it.
Yeah, they flaunt that shit because they make that who they are. And like, bro, I ended up getting kicked out of my friend's house, who I knew longer than her, because I was real with her. I told her, you know, she keeps going, and I like many times I was like, look, I don't want to talk about this. I don't care about this. I'm trying to work on music. And she keeps going and going, and I eventually say, look, I don't care about your story. I personally don't believe you were actually raped. I think that you made a decision that you regretted. And it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, just be real about it and understand, oh my God, maybe I shouldn't do this. You know, there's situations we put ourselves in where we kind of like accept what comes with it. Like, let's say I was to go to Russia right now, right? Like, I'm Russian. If I was to go to Russia right now, I accept the terms of I might get drafted to the war. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I don't want anyone to feel, because when you feel pity for someone, bro, you see them lower as you. So I never feel pity for anyone. Everyone's always on the same level that I'm at. I'm nobody. Everyone is nobody.
That sounds wise. That sounds very, very wise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's like, when you're going to these clubs wearing like, let's be honest, it's whore clothing. It's literally whore clothing.
Yeah, it is.
Like, you might as well have in your forehead, I am a whore.
Yeah.
And you might as well have your mouth open to ready to suck every dick that comes past you.
Exactly.
And it's like, you kind of take this chance, like, you're getting drunk as shit, a dude comes up to you, hey, come back to my house. It's not like you're not disagreeing, you're agreeing to do it.
Exactly.
And then you wake up, oh my God.
I regret it.
I regret it. No, that's not rape. That's a dumb decision that you regret.
Yeah.
It's like,
But, you know, man, that's so important. People got to stay away from silly bitches, man. There's a lot of silly bitches out there.
silly bitch.
Silly ass bitches. It's incredible, especially here in Los Angeles. Let's take a walk through this little forest area here.
Let's go.
But there's a lot of that, man, and it's sort of bizarre to see, but it's also like surprising.
As a society, for whatever reason, we revere intellectuals, but at the end of the day, it's like, are they really intellectuals? Because it's like, let's be honest, bro. What's an intellectual? An intellectual is a person that literally has a skill set of memorizing shit, right?
Yeah.
And so, how the fuck are they an intellectual? That means they read any information. They're really good at memorizing it, but does that mean it's real? Like, real?
No.
Real?
Dude, like, fucking, there's a whole history of the planet that is, I believe, suppressed by a small circle of elite people. I mean, this is, you know, when people think of a like secret society, some people might think like, oh, a conspiracy, oh, it's not real. It's like, no, dude, there are textbooks full of occult knowledge that you would not believe.
Yeah, it's all under the Catholic Church.
It's not even that like you have to believe in what these textbooks are saying. Just know that they believe it, that they take it very seriously. In places like Bohemian Grove and places, you know, like Skull and Bones, where they're like doing these rituals, or CERN, like that's very nice. We're gonna interrupt this couple here.
No, hey, bro, you know what I think is really funny?
What?
It's like, okay, so they use this, they use all that symbolism, right? They use it everywhere. They use it in child's movies and shit. Bro, I remember, dude, in that new Sonic film, right? I went and watched it with my friend. For whatever fucking reason, it was horrible. But it's so funny because
the second one?
Yeah. But you know how you talk about Moloch right now?
Mm-hmm.
I find it so funny because in the Bohemian Grove, right, they symbolize Moloch as an owl, and that's where they sacrifice the people at, under the owl, right? And I find it so funny because there's this section in the second Sonic film where it's like this big hieroglyphic statue of like an owl.
Oh shit.
And it's like, bro, this is why we're so fucked up. It's like, oh yeah, I got you.
No, yeah, it's in the.
This is all the information.
It's in the media. It's in the. You know, it's so crazy. I watch anything new. If I watch anything new, I immediately, because I watch so much Jay Dyer, and he's like one of those guys who like analyzes everything. He's like, that's that symbolism.
Yeah, I like
talking
Jay
about
Dyer.
This here. He's really good.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, Jay Dyer, Jay's Analysis, go to his website. He's a fucking, you want to know the truth? He's got the truth, baby. Jay Dyer, he's a fucking real one. But all the symbolism and all the occult shit and all the propaganda they put in Hollywood, especially nowadays with all these movies, it's just like so obvious to me. Like, and not to mention all the transgenderism shit that they're pushing and like the mixed gender roles. Like, dude, like I'll watch older movies where like the gender roles were like more traditional. I'm like, damn, these are like good movies. But like nowadays I watch shit and it's like what the fuck am I watching? What is that shit? That's not real, dude. That's fucking not real. Like that's fucking lame. Gay.
Bro, no, I know exactly what you're talking about. Like that's why, you know, I'll be honest with you, bro. I have a story, right? I have a story that I wrote. It's called Simi Angel Island, right? And there's this character, her name is Simi. She's referenced as a zipper head. She's referenced as
Zipper head.
she's referenced
That's
as a
a fucking classic.
she's referenced as a zipper head in the story, and it's like a, I guess you could call it like a science fiction, right? Oh shit, there's a gun war going on.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so anyways, bro, it's a story full of like I reference a lot of stuff from the Nazis, from one of the characters, which his name is Zahar, and for like they're the Aryans, and their blood is from the light. And they carry these zipper heads through fields of dead flesh, and they pick up all the dead flesh, and they eventually become these centipedes, which are like their heads attract to each other like magnets, and they become these these evil it's just a bunch of shit, right? But then it's like the Aryans cannot have open wounds in these fields, because if the dead flesh enters the light, then they begin to become deceased.
Yeah.
They begin to become deceased, and Simi was able to give some of her flesh and save him, and then it eventually gets to a point where damn, bro, I forgot where I was going with this.
What movie is this?
No, this is a story that I made.
Oh, it's a story.
Yeah. This is where I was going.
Like a movie, bro. That's fucking wild.
No, so this is where I was going. So there's parts of the story where like I have like Simi getting the literal shit kicked out of her, and like her body parts are ripped off, and Zahar gives his blood to replenish those body parts and all that, and like he uses her as a weapon and all this shit. And every time he gives her blood, all these swastikas form on her, because like, you know, like so I'm Slavic, right? And in our folklore and in our mythology, we have the swastika, just like anyone. In so many mythologies, there's the swastika. The swastika is pretty much just the real symbol before our good friend Hitler took it, and he flipped it around and like pointed it to a certain degree.
Yeah, because originally it's upright, right? And then he turned it a little bit. Like
he turned it a little bit and he flipped it. So it's originally flipped and upright.
That's what it is.
And so pretty much what the symbol is like it's pretty much just like Godspeed. Even the natives use it, you know, the fake natives of America. Even they used it, right? Like pretty much like Godspeed, I wish you well on your journey. Like it's called the rolling log symbol, right?
Like the symbol of motion, the symbol of like.
Yeah. So it's the same thing with the pentagram, you know, like I've even in my young age when I was like, fuck everything, like it's so funny, bro. I've always, even though I was.
Here, hold the show. Just like, yeah, that way we have some light.
It's so funny because even though I was like F everything, I always was somehow innately more conservative. Like I always said like had arguments with people that believed in abortion. I was like, fuck abortion, this and that. But I used to be more of is it called a contrarian? A person that kind of like always tries to piss people off. So depending on who he's talking to, like he'll switch it up. Yeah, I used to be that kind of person.
That's funny.
And like
honestly, that sounds like the only political thing that makes sense to me is just like anyone you're talking to, just switch it up to where it pisses them off the most.
No, for real. But at the end of the day, and okay, this is where I was getting to. Like like the Bible is really one of my favorite books. And I'm not talking about the King James or none of that, because that's all rewritten by the gay ass Catholic Church and all those
there's a lot
pedophilic.
A lot of that, yeah.
Like I'm talking about the real Bible, the emerald tablets, the Tibetan Book of Dead, all these things, right? And I've always hated the pentagram, like when I was young. But then later I started learning about like Pythagorean knowledge, and I started learning that the original meaning for the pentagram, that's literally based on our body. A lot of these things that are created in this world is based on our body, like the pyramid even.
Turned into evil.
Yeah, the pyramid even. That's based off of our anatomy. You know, the Bible is an anatomical and astrological book. And so like when I found out that the pentagram is literally just the source of existence, right? It's literally just you're
a five-pointed star, so what? It's your limbs in your head?
Yeah, it's your limbs in your head, but it also means like earth, fire, right? Earth, fire, water. No, all these different elements.
Material things.
Yeah, material things that make up like oxygen, like water, right? Water is the life giver, you know, and that's what they talk about. And so when I learned that like the pentagram is literally just a symbol that means that you're whole within yourself, it's like I understood that wasn't wrong, but then all these people, they use the pentagram for the symbol of Satan. And then it's like the person that wrote the satanic Bible, when he was dying, he was like bitching and crying and like praying like to God and trying to repent. I always find it funny, like I don't respect people that can't, like even if I disagree with them, I'll still respect you if you always keep your, like, if you're always able to keep to what you believe, like preach what you say.
Right.
But it's like a lot of people, they can't do that. It's like, I just don't respect that.
Right, like.
I look at people like that and they need golden showers.
If your actions follow what you're saying, you know. It's hard to do, you know. It takes actual concentration to do that, and like most people don't. Like I feel like a lot of people are really like checked out. Like a lot of people are already dead. They're just walking around like if you think of like The Walking Dead, or if you think of like a zombie movie, like there are a lot of zombies walking around right now. There's people that die one time and then they die the second time, which is like the final death. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like people die infinite amount of times.
Oh well, yeah. There's that when they come back, right?
Like I feel like this is the real hell. Like I feel like
we're in like a matrix.
Yeah, there are so many things that parallel. And that's each of our lives that are paralleling, like as you don't reach the higher consciousness, like people don't understand what the death of Jesus is. It's like, look, I personally, I don't believe that anyone in the Bible is real. I believe that those are all metaphorical parables,
explain metaphysical things.
Metaphysical things, exactly. Like there's a metaphysical reason for afterlife. There's a metaphysical explanation for everything. And like I feel like people don't understand what the death of Jesus was. The death of Jesus was the birth of man, which is the apple that's pulled from the tree. A woman's placenta is shaped as the tree of life. So when we're pulled from the tree, we're died. We're not born, we're died. And like I feel like the death of man, which is the birth of man, if you reach that higher consciousness, which is Jesus, which is Yeshua, which is his other name, is one of his epithets. That is the defeat of the devil, of Lucifer, which is of the man, which is of flesh. And I don't know, man.
Well, Satan is the god of material. This is the god of like the flesh world, right? Like you mentioned that like Adam was the first atom, right?
And Eve is the first electronic bolt.
Like that's it. When you said that to me, I was like, whoa, I didn't think of it like that.
Yeah.
That's kind of wild. It's funny how people think like the Bible is like retarded. Like they think it's like some stupid like bunch of fairy tales. But there's so many like metaphysical things. There's concepts in there that are like even too much for me to comprehend. Like there are things in the Bible that are like beyond my own comprehension, because you need to sort of experience life. You need to sort of go through a period of time to actually understand what the Bible is even talking about at certain points, you know, because you're not going to understand everything it's talking about, you know.
So wait, just real quick. I want to show people this. So there's this YouTube channel. It's called Theoria Apophysis. So this guy right here, like he's very smart. Hold on, bro. What am I trying to say?
Oh, cheers, bro.
Cheers, bro.
Thanks for the wine.
I'm not gonna lie, bro.
This is soda, not wine.
Yeah, this is soda. Fuck the FDA. Fuck those USDA motherfuckers that say shit's organic, but they're giving us plastics and all this bullshit. But
destroying our endocrine system, making a fucking generation of weak, emasculated
making
men.
you into a get-ass boy.
Listen, I'm here to tell you. Listen, I go to university. I see nothing but emasculated men with very low testosterone. There's scientific studies. Okay, are you listening to me? There are scientific studies out there that prove men right now have the testosterone levels of a 60-year-old man in the 1950s. Can you fucking believe that shit? Can you fucking believe? And it's all the shit they put in the food. It's all the shit they spray in the air. It's all the shit they spray on the food. Listen, we are at war. This is warfare. Okay, you have to understand this. Anyways, back to Zahar.
No, it's all good. No, you're right, bro. No, they literally attack us from all sides.
I see it, dude. Like
nutrition,
the
medical
the men are like females, man. They're like not even masculine.
They're not. Like, I mean, look at people when they get girlfriends now, bro. You know what? I never understood. Like, bro, like you're probably the same. I'm the type of person, if I have a girlfriend and it's like I'm having a discussion with her, I know I'm right. I don't care if it offends you.
Yeah.
Like I don't give a fuck. Like
Women have lower IQs statistically.
yeah, no, they do. And they're not willing to do the jobs we are, but they want to be equal. And then it's like bro, all these women act tough, and if you do something about it, it's like, oh, now they bitch about it. Like everything is upside down. Everything is upside down.
Upside down for sure.
But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, no, I was gonna say I used to have a friend, right? And he used to say, like, so he loved the Nazi army, and he loved Mein Kampf and all these different books by the SS that spoke about all the people that were around Hitler and all this and that. It's like, I'll be friends with anyone, bro. I don't care. Like like for me personally, I feel like the Nazis had swag, like, you know. No.
They did have swag.
They did have swag.
They were rocking that Hugo Boss. I mean, listen, say what you want about the Nazis. They had some fucking. They knew how to dress themselves, man.
No, they
I'll
did.
agree with that.
But it's like, the thing I always found funny about him is that he would say F God, and he would blaspheme God and blaspheme all these religious texts. Not even religious texts, just like truthful texts, right? Like anything, like the Emerald Tablets, the Bible, the Quran,
Hold up.
the Bible, the Quran, the Old Testament, anything. And it's so funny because it's like the things that he liked to read, I'd always explain to him, like, everything comes from the Bible. Before the Bible, there was the Emerald Tablets, right?
Oh, okay.
And in the Emerald Tablets, they explain that, that like a prophecy that a man would come down and he would take the debts of the flesh, and, you know, take the debts of the flesh. And so he would always say F the Bible, F this and that. And like, honestly, bro, like that shit just got annoying to me. Like, him to me he's an ignorant ass person.
Right.
Because it's like,
he's over here reading fucking Mein Kampf and Greek.
well, yeah, no, I believe you should read Mein Kampf, because you should understand your enemy.
You should understand the enemy.
You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, like, like even right now, like all these people that hate the Nazis and all these people that hate all these fascist people.
They don't even fucking know what Nazis are.
They don't, and they are Nazis. They literally are brown shirts. They literally are Nazis by their beliefs, by the way they act, by all this and that.
Fucking hitting people, telling them not to say things. That's fascist.
Like, bro.
You're the fucking Nazis, dude. You're the one that's. It's so funny to me, like Antifa, right? Antifa is.
Fuck Antifa.
Antifa are Nazis. Like,
They literally are.
They're fucking. They're the anti-fascists. They are the fascists.
They are the fascists.
So, you know.
But see, they're doing what Hitler did with the swastika with their name, anti-fascist, right?
Yeah, they're taking something and making it something. They're changing. This is the thing, man. Like changing language, right? Like changing ideas. Like trying to, like, this is what they do in North Korea, right? Like, in North Korea, I remember watching this podcast with Yunomi Park, this chick who escaped North Korea. And she was talking about how, like, they don't have certain words in their language.
Yeah.
Like, they can't express what love is. They don't know what stress means. Like, they don't know any of that sort of shit in their own language because they remove things from the language. And when you remove words from language and you change the language, you imprison people. You put them in a mind prison, you know? So the people in North Korea aren't entirely aware of their situation for a reason. It's because of all these other external things that the government knows about and is aware of, and purposely takes out of their fucking their dialogue. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's
what we're seeing now with the shit that's going on online. I mean, thank God we're able to fucking go somewhere and just have a normal conversation right now. See, the problem, when it gets real bad is when you start having these conversations and whatever, the fucking government's listening to you, next thing you know, you disappear. You're erased from history. Like, that's when it becomes a real problem. And that's where it's heading if we don't turn any of the shit around. You see this world. Like, you see the shit that goes on in the fucking world. People starving, people getting raped, people getting killed, people getting all the shit that's going. It's like like in a sane society and like a sane civilization, these ideas, the idea of raping or killing someone would not exist. The fact that those are things at all tells me that we are in either a higher hell or a lower hell. Right there, I'm just like, okay, the fact that we're not all cooperating to build something better, means we are in a hell of some sort.
Well, see, no, you're right. But honestly, man, at this point, I believe that Russia needs to show that they could just win a nuclear war. You know what I'm saying?
Fucking do it. Just fucking nuke us already.
But it's like people, especially in America, like, you know, growing up in Russia and being in Russia, like, America is really made fun of for the simple reasons that, like, we really have no problems. Like, our problems are internal and we create them. Like, we've created them over time. Our government has created them. Like,
they are the orchestrators of terrorism.
No,
when they talk about like, oh, the war against terror, they are the
ISIS,
terrorists.
Al Qaeda.
They fund them.
Yeah, they fund
train
that shit.
them. They do everything. and it's documented. It's not even conspiracy. It's fucking I did a fucking 10-page paper on this in political science. It is documented fact.
And also, not only that, but, you know, I had an argument with my mom like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I'm like, where Antifa comes from, right? Because I said it comes from the Middle East. She said, no, it comes from Europe. At the end of the day, she was right. She was right. It does come from Europe.
It does. Yeah.
But
George Soros.
But see, where I was like miscommunicating here was that, yes, it comes from Europe, but at the end of the day, like, the same people that train these ISIS people, these Al Qaeda people, train the Antifa people.
Intelligence.
Yes.
Fucking CIA. Fucking
yeah, the
Mossad.
CIA. Yeah, even like Hitler, right? He sent spies over to America, and that's where he learned about socialism, because it was already in America.
He did, yeah. That's where he learned about it.
It was
and he liked it. And he talked about the New World Order too. He said he wanted a New World Order that was, you know, had an overlay of like fascism with sort of an underlay of socialism, I think. And now, you know, people think, you know, it's funny, like people think that the spirit of someone like Hitler, or the spirit of someone like Mao, or the spirit of someone like Genghis Khan, like, that just goes away. No, dude. Conquering, people who want to conquer, people who want to murder, to take over the world, that never goes away. It consolidates somewhere else. It goes somewhere else. It's on this planet right now, okay? And it's taking a physical form right now. And it is a group of elite people. Jay Dyer, I've listened to Jay Dyer again. He, in his research, he tracked it down to what he calls what they're called the Fabian socialists. Yeah. Okay. It's an elite group of people. It's an inner circle with an outer circle of goons that think they're in the inner circle, but they're not in the inner circle. It is literally the occult of people who control money, who control finance, who are. I mean, I think at least
that's our middle class now.
I feel it. I think they worship death, and I think that's how they get off. That's how they have their power, is they do child sacrifices. That's what I
exactly.
think.
And see, that's our higher middle class right now. You know what's funny is that all this.
Well, that's true. It's spilling into the outer layers.
This fake culture that we have now, right?
Right.
It's literally spilled into our higher middle class,
where they're trying to promote things like pedophilia and transgenderism.
Exactly. But it's like. What they don't understand is that they are soldiers for a higher cause, and they hold on, bro.
Yeah, they think they're part of it. They think they're part of the power structure, but they're not. They're serving something that only worships death, that only wants death. Yeah. Okay, when you look, it's again like that Nietzsche quote. You know, you fucking stare into the abyss stares back. The abyss doesn't give a fuck about what you think of it. Satan doesn't care if you worship Satan. Satan just wants you dead.
Well, yeah, no, like even all these people that sell their souls to Satan, right? Like, people think that, okay, now I have all these things, I'm rich, I have all this money, I have this house, this and that. It's like, that's not why Satan gives you everything. He gives you everything because he revels in the fact that you're gonna lose everything, and that's what he's waiting for. The second that you fucking lose everything.
Exactly. The second you lose it all, and you're able to, and you're a willing warrior of his mind virus. Yeah. Which I think always goes down to hurting children. Because children, right, made in the image of God,
are the purest thing?
Purest thing. You kill children, that is the most evil thing you could, like, really imagine it, really think about it in your own head. Killing a child. It's hard to imagine because you'd never do it. Some people do it ritualistically.
It's a gang war.
Oh, I'm gonna have a little more, just a little more.
Bro, my bad. I feel.
Oh, that's good. That's all right. Perfect. What's up? Your battery's low? Shit, where are we at? Does this shot look good? That's very nice. I like it. Oh man. I did want to mention, I don't know, maybe I'll mention it, but I sort of take the belief, I mean, not the belief, but like, I think if you write about your life, right? Like, do you journal at all? Like, I journal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's good to journal because it's like, it kind of gives you a perspective of where you are and who you are and like where you're going, you know? There's a lot of people that think like journaling is gay, or journaling is like, and like, dude, I feel sorry for those people because it's like, you're kind of missing out on like kind of crafting your own story, you know? Yeah. But you know, journaling, I just wanted to say this, journaling is like important. You got to do it because like if you start writing your life story from like kind of the start to like where you are, you kind of get a perspective of who you are and what you're doing and where you're going. And it's good to do that because you can kind of write and sort of, you can kind of direct your life in such a way, you know, like it's, you won't be able to get everything right, but you'll be able to get some sort of perspective, you know, and a lot of people just don't have a perspective. Like I got friends that I know that like if they just kind of figured themselves out a little bit, they'd be able to have a direction that really mattered. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
but they don't want, no one wants to go that full length.
And it's just like, I don't know, maybe you need some sort of spiritual death. I know you've done DMT, I've done DMT. Maybe we can talk about our DMT experience.
Yeah, fuck it, let's do it.
Fucking, I tell you, man, I don't think anyone should do it, first of all. But if you do it, just know what you're getting into. You know, they call it the spirit molecule or the death molecule. They call it that for a reason, okay? Because you want to feel what death feels like. You want to know, you kind of want to get as close as you can to death without actually dying. Take DMT. Like that's where it's at, because you're gonna feel death in its full fury, full glory, and you're gonna come back and you're gonna have a new reverence for life that is unbelievable, you know. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say about DMT. What do you got to say about DMT? While I pull up more quotes.
Well, the thing about DMT is that before you do it, your heart has to be as light as a feather. You can't have any anger in your heart. Like,
yes.
So all these people that like scream racism all day and all these other things that we know are fucking lies. You have to understand that none of these things in this world, nothing is personal. Nothing ever has to do anything with you unless you make it so. So when it has to do with things like that, just understand that has nothing to do with you. Your heart has to be as light as a feather. And when you do DMT, like I was unlucky. I was like 14 years old. My bitch ass cousin who was a heroin addict, he gave me DMT. I thought it was wax. Like he told me I was doing wax, but I was doing DMT, and he told me do 3 intakes of that as much as you can. And as I did DMT, my whole body became limp. I remember, bro, I had no motion. I was almost not able to move, and I told my mom, I said, because it was at a family party. I told my mom, I have to go, but I was a hypochondriac at that age. So my mom was like, no, we're not going to the hospital. You're just being a hypochondriac. And I fell asleep next to my aunt and my mom, watching all this geometry come at me one at a time. It got to a certain point where I thought I was dead. And I'm thinking, damn, I've been a shithead as a human being. And I was like, damn, okay, so I'm gonna repeat my life after this. And then at that point, my body flew past the firmament. I had these things that looked like ravens pull my heart, which was a scroll at the time, pull my heart as a scroll that told me all the laws of the flesh, all the laws of the spirit. And then I walked through a valley of angels and demons, which are the same thing. Angels and demons that were speaking languages to me that I can never repeat back to you. And then I fell back to the earth, with my flesh and my muscles and my whole skeletal system just coming back in within each other. Then geometry coming back. DMT is really a drug that you should do once. Like I don't believe that being spiritual means that you have to do like shrooms or DMT or anything. I believe that spiritualism is really downloads that you get within yourself.
Downloads, yeah.
Yeah, just like downloads that you get within yourself. You just like begin to understand questions that you never understood. You begin to get answers that you've never thought to give. And so at the end of the day, it's like DMT, it's a worthless drug, but you could do it. You know?
Yeah, I think, it's there's something evil about it, but there's also something very revealing about it. So just be careful with it. Anyways, let's look at this. I got some more. Oh, I wanted to talk about weed. So I released this video on the channel.
Yeah.
With Sam Hyde and Charles Carroll talking about weed and how like kind of useless it is, and like how like if you do it, you kind of become a loser. They take a more extreme approach to it. I don't think everyone. I mean, I don't think everyone...
You become a loser if you smoke weed. I agree with that.
I don't think everyone who does it, though, does become a loser. There are exceptions to the rule. There are people who actually function, and I saw it, because I see in the comments, people are like, I'm actually more productive on weed. I would argue that you don't need weed to be productive. You can actually, if you just got over it, you'd be able to be more productive. You'd be a more generative human. But I see how weed can actually be useful. Anyways, I was using weed as a tool to like get me, because it does reach into a certain level of consciousness. I think that gets sort of you get closer to those creative ideas, and I was able to make cooler videos from it. Yeah. But when you keep doing it, the deeper you go, I realize the more it wants from you and the less it wants to give you. So that's what I think about weed. I don't think I think if you do it in a way that doesn't damage your soul, it's okay. But if you're one of these people who gets really addicted to it really quickly, like I did, I think you got to quit it immediately.
No, I think look, I think creativity is innately within you.
It is.
It is.
Totally. But weed helps you.
If you have it, if you have it, you have it. You don't know.
Yeah. I think it helps.
I disagree with that, because like I feel like marijuana takes the purity away from it. You get what I'm saying? I feel like when you do marijuana, well, the only thing it's gonna do is it's gonna make you move from the worldly perspective. Mm-hmm. But I feel like if you're able to, every time artists or anyone speaks about doing drugs and it makes them make better work, I disagree with that, because I feel like you being sober, it really puts you at hand with who you are, with everything that you are in this world. And you make the best work when you're just not doing anything, because it's like you hate yourself, you love yourself.
But riddle me this, Batman. There are some people who are inherently creative, right? People who don't need it to be creative. Yeah. But when they use those things, like alcohol or weed or whatever cocaine, whatever they're using, whatever their fucking poison is, okay, it like brings something out of them that is even more. It touches something on even more. Like some of the best artists of our time were fucking hardcore like drug addicts.
But who's to say that they were the best artists?
Oh well, I mean that's true too. It's subjective. It's subjective in that sense. But I've noticed that a lot of people who were really good, and I think are objectively really good, at least in my opinion, some of them were really intense drug addicts. I think Jim Morrison, I mean, it wasn't just Jim Morrison, obviously. The Doors was, the band itself, and they were phenomenal musicians. But Jim Morrison was a great poet, and he was able to tap into something with his use of drugs. Obviously, he was trained by probably the military.
By professionals.
He was trained by professionals. We don't have to go into that too much.
Bro,
that shit's funny too, man.
I feel like, I drink a lot, so I'm a bit of a hypocrite here, but it's like
I smoked like every day for fucking years. I took like a month off at one point, but I was an intense weed user. I wasn't ripping bowls from a bong from morning to evening, but I was doing at least a joint and a half, sometimes 2 joints a day, which is enough. That's enough.
But I feel like the greatest things in life are made from just like perseverance.
Yeah. yeah, just, oh fuck. That's funny. I wrote here the current state of female and male relations, and in parentheses I wrote I think it's fucked. But we already kind of covered that.
The current state of female and male relations is that male are faggots and they fucking sit on their old fours like dogs.
Yes.
And they allow the woman to control them.
They're so-called queens.
But honestly, bro, I think queens, kings, all these different ad hominems or whatever, terminologies, whatever, it's all stupid, bro. You as a person, you're not a king, you're not a queen. It's like, yes, bro, within our pineal gland, these are our two temples. This is our temple. The eyes are the windows to the church, which is our body. Mm-hmm. It's like, at the end of the day, bro, you're not a king, you're not a queen. Like, I always laugh at people that use those terms for themselves.
You're a child of God.
Yeah, you're just a child of God, and God is within you, but at the same time, you are not God.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing people conflate. People think like, oh, because I am the only window into this experience, I must be God. But anyways, Zahar, I think we're gonna wrap it up.
Yeah, that's
Sean's
so good.
got shit to do.
Yeah.
But this was great.
No, of course, man. God bless you, man.
God bless you. Zahar, what's your last name?
Polavinkin.
Polavinkin. Zahar Polavinkin. Fucking find him on Instagram. Bah! There's his fucking Instagram right there. Fucking check out his art. He's a badass motherfucker. I'm your host, Brandon Vancor, signing out.
Signing out, motherfucker.